الآن
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our MISAD Bulletin. And we shall start with our headlines. Russia's airstrikes wounded Al-Qaeda leader in Syria. U.S. orders 15 Cuban diplomats to leave. And moving on to our details, starting with the violence in Syria. Russia's military announced on Wednesday that it has carried out airstrikes in Syria this week that critically wounded the leader of the country's Al-Qaeda-linked group and killed 12 other militant commanders. Major General Igor Konashenkov, spokesman for the Russian Defense Ministry, said that the airstrikes wounded Abu Muhammad al-Gulani, leader of the Al-Qaeda-linked Levant Liberation Committee. According to Konashenkov, 50 other militants who were securing the gathering were also killed. Russia carried out the airstrikes on Tuesday at an undisclosed location in Syria after receiving intelligence about an upcoming high-level meeting of the group's leaders, according to what the ministry said. In relation to the context, government forces are advancing on one of the last major strongholds of the Islamic State group and have launched an intense wave of shelling and airstrikes. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights says Syrian troops and allied militiamen have advanced to about 10 kilometers north of Mayadin. In addition, another activist group said dozens of rockets and barrel bombs fell on Mayadin and surrounding villages on Tuesday. From another aspect, activists said that tens of thousands of civilians have fled Mayadin amid the intense attack. On to Baghdad, flags flew at half-staff across Iraq's northern autonomous Kurdish region on Wednesday as Iraqi Kurds began observing a week of mourning following the death of the country's former president Jalal Talibani. Talibani's death at a Berlin hospital on Tuesday afternoon at the age of 83 came just days after the Iraqi Kurds' controversial referendum on independence that has angered Baghdad and the region. A long-time Kurdish leader, Talibani, in 2005 became the head of state of what was supposed to be a new Iraq 2 years after the country was freed from the rule of Saddam Hussein. In Ankara, a court in southwestern Turkey sentenced at least 34 suspects to life in prison on Wednesday, convicting them of charges that include attempting to kill President Recep Tayyip Erdogan during last year's failed coup. A total of 46 suspects, 37 of them former military personnel, have been on trial since February in the city of Mughla, accused of attempted assassination, violation of the constitution, and other crimes against the state during the July 15, 2016 coup attempt. State television TRT said the court handed down life prison terms to 34 of the defendants, while one defendant, a former lieutenant colonel, was acquitted. On the other side of the world, President Donald Trump will reckon with the aftermath of a deadly mass shooting in Las Vegas as he meets on Wednesday with survivors and law enforcement officials in a time of grief. Trump heads to the city days after a gunman on the 32nd floor of Vegas Strip Hotel and Casino opened fire on people at an outdoor country music festival below. The Sunday night rampage by Stephen Craig Paddock killed at least 59 people and injured 527, some from gunfire and some from a chaotic escape. It's worth mentioning that Trump's trip to Las Vegas follows his Tuesday travel to hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico. Meanwhile, the official death toll from Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico has increased to 34 from 16, according to what the U.S. Territory's governor said on Tuesday. The governor also said he believes the hurricane that struck on September 20th with winds over 150 miles per hour caused $90 billion in damage across the Caribbean island. From another aspect, the governor made the announcement at a news conference following U.S. President Donald Trump's short visit to the U.S. territory to assess the storm's impact. During his stop, President Trump congratulated Puerto Ricans for avoiding a high death toll of a real catastrophe like Katrina. And moving on to the American-Cuban relations. The United States expelled 15 of Cuba's diplomats on Tuesday to protest its failure to protect Americans from unexplained attacks in Havana, plunging diplomatic ties between the countries to levels unseen in years. The State Department gave Cuba's ambassador a list on Tuesday of 15 names and ordered them out within 1 week, according to what officials said, in a move that aims to ensure equity between each nation's embassy staffing. From another aspect, last week the U.S. announced it was withdrawing 60% of its own diplomats from Havana because they might be attacked and harmed if they stay. And away from politics, 3 researchers based in the US, UK and Switzerland won the Nobel Prize in Chemistry on Wednesday for developing a way to create detailed images of the molecules that drive life. The $1.1 million prize is shared by Jacques Dupchet of the University of Lausanne, Joachim Frank at New York's Columbia University, and Richard Henderson of MRC Laboratory of Molecular Biology in Cambridge, Britain. The Royal Swedish Academy of Science said their method, called cryo-electron microscopy, allows researchers to freeze biomolecules mid-movement. The Academy added that the technology is decisive for both the basic understanding of life's chemistry and for the development of pharmaceuticals. And finally, our economic news. World stock markets were mixed on Wednesday as momentum from Wall Street's rally faded. In Europe, France CAC 40 lost 0.4% to 5,347, while Germany's DAX rose 0.1% to 12,914. Britain's FTSE 100 was down 0.1% at 7,463. Wall Street was poised to open slightly lower, with Dow and S&P 500 futures both slipping less than 0.1%. Meanwhile, Japan's benchmark Nikkei 225 index flitted between gains and losses before ending less than 0.1% higher at 2,626.66, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng advanced 0.7% to 28,379.18. And before ending our news, let's take another look at the most important headlines for today. Russia's airstrikes wounded Al-Qaeda leader in Syria. U.S. orders 15 Cuban diplomats to leave. And this was all what we have in our MISAT bulletin for today. Thank you for joining us.